We will be focusing on the country of India and the research performed to discuss the business venture opportunities within India that are available to our company.
So, to start off, one of the important things to consider when deciding to do business in India is the culture. The Hofstede Cultural Dimension Analysis tool allows us to look at India's culture in comparison to America's and see what possible dimensions may occur culturally, which is the picture shown right here. There are 6 dimensions in the Hofstede Cultural Dimensions tool, though between American and India, 4 of them have the greatest difference because of the differences in the culture. So, for example, the power distance dimension is important to consider because India is a hierarchical society, so top-down business is extremely important, whereas in America it isn't as important. India is also very collectivistic, whereas Americans tend to focus on the me and the I. The long-term orientation dimension focuses on how adaptable a country is to change. India is in the middle here, so whether or not they focus on tradition or adopt new ideas is probably more based on the individual. And finally, indulgence. India is not indulgent like Americans are, and consider indulgence to be a sin.
As was demonstrated at the beginning of this presentation, Halstead's cultural dimensions, different cultures deal with things differently. In India, communication must be very much weighed and considered. Context matters to them. They are a very high context people. They imply a lot of things and expect you to read between the lines. So something as simple as, hey, that could be difficult, might not mean to them, let's fix it and let's get around it. It probably is a sign that they don't want to do something. This also plays into the way they deal with direct negative feedback. They're very indirect. They would rather sugarcoat things. USA is kind of like that too, but not as much as India. They were like the top of the chart for indirect negative feedback. They would rather allow the recipient of the feedback to fill in the blank, to take ownership without being directly told. They try to sugarcoat, so that must be taken into consideration. Also, the way they deal with confrontation. They will avoid confrontation. They believe in relationships, and that open confrontation will hurt the group harmony or even the negotiation. So it's very important not to have confrontations and to be more pleasing and to consider the relationship when dealing with negotiating matters in India. The other thing is scheduling. Their whole scheduling culture is more flexible. Where in the United States, we are very much so based on time management and organization. They are more based on being flexible and adaptable. They don't mind interruptions, and they will change things based on opportunities. So it's very important that we keep that in mind when doing business with them.
As good as our products are, they won't mean anything unless we can convince Indian businessmen and women. Developing a friendship needs to be our first priority, as this will affect all aspects of the negotiations. This means busting out the family photos and unique gifts that demonstrate who you are and what you represent. It is difficult to determine how long bargaining will take because our newfound friends will find it rude and off-putting if we do not let them take their time. This will be beneficial to us as well, as we can be slow to give our final offer and get us the best possible deal. Having time to prepare will be crucial when dealing with these gurus of negotiation. I am assured that as we take these precautions, that we will have no trouble finding our place among Indian businesses.
The Indian government is very large and holds all of the powers to rule the entire country. They are also very corrupt, and the policies they pass do not really affect the general population because of the increasing population of India. It is becoming extremely hard to govern. The lower and working classes of India have no power at all to decide what goes on in their own country. Recently, the crime rates in all parts of India have increased due to the small, ineffective police force that India has. All of these problems arise from the central government's lack of ability to lead the country. Because of all this corruption, government funds are used inappropriately and they do not go towards beneficial programs that are needed to help the Indian people. The environment in India is degrading as well due to the lack of health standards and regulations. Essentially, India is growing at such a rapid rate that the government cannot keep up with its growth.
Two areas of economic freedoms within the country of India that are very influenced are represented within the government spending and fiscal health areas. Um, the reason why is because government expenditures are actually recommended to be a great part of the opportunity for products to be introduced in India. Um, and an extremely low debt obligation stands within India at this time currently and is capable of supporting many new innovations that come about. And this is a great reason why this influence and the opportunity of business and products may be may be able to be presented within India at this time. A couple cautions that we actually emphasize upon are two different indexes, one being labor freedom and the other being investment freedom. And the reason why is because the availability for labor is low and the expertise within investment freedom is very low right now, which may be able to be higher in the long run if worked upon.
When doing business with India, it's important to keep in mind their free trade agreements. India has multiple free trade agreements. The Indian Ministry of Commerce projects that 60% of Indian future trades will be by free trade agreements with countries such as Paraguay, Argentina, Brazil, Pakistan, and China. They are trying to convert all of their free trade agreements and their preferential treatments into SECA, which is the Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement, which is more in line with the World Trade Organization compliance laws. India has been a member of the World Trade Organization from the very beginning. Therefore, they are under obligation to offer the most favored nation treatment to all other members of the World Trade Organization, which would be a benefit to our company.
Foreign direct investments are the most important sources of financial resources for India. The Indian government fully supports these FDIs and makes it easy for just about any foreign country to invest in the Indian economy. The biggest investors include the Dutch company IKEA and the American company Walmart. India has had an increase in foreign direct investments over the past decade and has even surpassed both China and the US in FDIs.
India is actually a growing economy right now and has been for the past 15 years. And as compared to the rest of the world, India is on the fairly lower side of the scale of the GNI average. And as compared to many other countries within the world, they fall within like a few thousand plus or minus of India. As of 2017, the average GNI for India was $7,060, and as compared to the United States being at $60,200. One of the great impacts of the proposed business ventures that may be presented to India actually falls in the respects of the selling price and the cost being more relevant for the standard of living to the consumers in India.
The first product we have considered for sale in India is headphones. The headphone market in India is growing at an increasing rate, and it's among the smallest headphone markets in the world, so it would be very easy to claim some market share. Only 0.5% of the Indian population use name brand headphones, while the rest of the population use cheap, unbranded headphones. The most difficult part of selling headphones in India would be convincing the 99.5% to purchase these name brands.
Another product that we could sell in India is smartphones. Now, there's already a huge amount of competition for smartphones in India, so in order to diversify, we needed to find an area of need or an unmet need. A lot of smartphones can be opened or accessed through thumbprint scanners, but with India being a largely industrial country or a country where manual labor is still a huge part of the society, a lot of the workers' thumbprints or even fingerprints are worn out beyond recognition. To solve this, the government of India has petitioned other smartphone companies to create phones with a retinal scanner, but there are only one or two other companies who are willing to do so. We can provide a smartphone with this retinal scanner that will please the government, allowing us to be able to overcome some obstacles and other concerns, as well as lead the market. If the smartphone pitch won't work, we can always develop an app or some other tech that will allow the people of India to use these scanners, ranging from simple things like opening up the lock screen to approving financial transactions.
The television has had a powerful impact on the Indian people. More than half of Indian households own a television set. There are thousands of channels in a variety of languages. India is home to Bollywood, the largest producer of films worldwide. There are 5 main ways that Indians stream their films and shows: broadcast or over-the-air television, unencrypted satellite or free-to-air, direct-to-home, cable television, and IPTV. Our new TV will be the first to implement all receiving settings of this kind, as well as capabilities to integrate all through a social media program and application that gives you recommendations on what to watch, as well as shows you what your friends are watching. This will distinguish our product and make it the must-have item in over 500 million homes.
The following pages is our support for the research performed, for the information provided, and ventures sought after. Thank you for attending our meeting in preparation to enter India with the opportunities at hand.